Attorney?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Commissioner Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
I call this workshop of the City of Pahokee City Commission of Tuesday, June the 26th, 2018, to order at 6:05 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation led by Vice Mayor Mervin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we want to thank you, first of all, God, for another day, God, that you allowed us to see and to be here. Father God, we ask you, God, as we come together, God, to conduct business for our city, God, we ask you, God, let it be respectful, God, to everyone's concerns, oh God, and just, God, just be tentative, oh God. And first, and most of all, God, that we ask you, God, to look upon the families of God, our Commissioner Walker, and also, God, our Sister Smith, oh God, in their time of bereavement right now, God, that you will comfort them and you will keep them, oh God. Right now, God, bless us as we conduct business today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Walker, City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney,
Present.
Lieutenant Piccolo,
Here.
City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Vice Mayor Mervin, for the invocation. Thank each of you all for being here today to participate in our workshop of Tuesday, June 26, 2018. At this time, I'm going to turn this portion over to the city manager who will lead us in the topics of our workshop.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Good evening, residents, visitors. Thanks for joining us tonight for another commission meeting on conducting the business for the public. We have a short agenda tonight. We have a couple of additions to the agenda. We'll address that at the regular commission meeting. Resolutions, we have 2018-36. That's a resolution authorizing the City of Pahokee directing the mayor to execute an amendment to a grant between DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity, and the City of Pahokee. We have one public hearing, ordinance 2018-02, that's second reading. That is our FPNL agreement with our partners FPNL for utilities here in the City of Pahokee. Some additional resolutions would include a resolution for purchase of a vehicle for Parks and Recreation. That is a surtax funded project for under surtax program that we're receiving from the county as well as other municipalities. And we have some presentations, Lakeside Medical Business of the Month and Lawn of the Month. We want to make up for that from the last commission meeting, so I hope they are here tonight between now and 6:30. I don't anticipate any additional questions on FPNL. There may be some on second read, I'm not sure. I would like to take this opportunity to bring forth our, if it pleases the commission at this time, to bring forth our finance department so we can get a financial report on this last quarter, going into our last quarter. Typically we do this before we start our budget workshops. We're going to get an update on where we are fiscally and how well we've done this past year. I think it's fair to say that we've had another good year in the City of Pahokee. We are currently operating in the black. I think this is our third consecutive year that we've been able to operate in the black in the City of Pahokee, and also save a couple of dollars as well and address our reserves. And so as they're coming up, I'm going to pass out our budget workshop dates for budget workshops for 2018. We have with us Rick Hartley and our Director of Finance, Batista Francis. And I typically bring Rick in to some of our budget presentations because he works independently from the city. He is what I consider my outside auditor of what we do on a daily basis. And we intentionally do that here in the city of Pahokee because we want, one, transparency. We want someone to double check our spending and purchases, from a view that's not internal but external. And so beyond what Ms. Francis does on a daily basis, Mr. Hartley also double checks those purchases and spending and looks at our budget and looks at our accounts to ensure that we are, one, transparent, two, not overspending or underspending or using funds in an inappropriate way. And so we do that intentionally because we know that we've had in the past questions about how spending is conducted in the city of Pahokee. So we've maintained his services to ensure that we have an outside review or lens on our finances in the city of Pahokee. So Rick and Ms. Francis, go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Commission. I'm Batista, Director of Finance. You guys know me. Hello, hello. I'm going to let Rick just do an overview of where we are tonight. Yes?
Yes, sure. The package that we gave y'all this is real short, but we want to go through it, and please stop me if you have any questions. The first is just a list of all of our cash that we have on hand. All this is as of May 31st, because that's the last month we closed out. To be honest with you, this is, with the system conversion we went through, this is the first time we've been this close to a month in. So I'm real happy about that. You've got three different categories here. You've got unrestricted cash, which means that is going to pay for day-to-day operations, and then you've got restricted cash, that's the SWA grant that we have to use for a specific purpose, the Marina grant, and the Commissioner's Park grant, and that's about we're looking at about $2 million that's coming into the budget for FY18, and that's a lot of what I have to say is Chandler's doing. He's brought a lot of money into the city, and then this year we got a big chunk of that. So luckily, these agencies, they don't do this a lot, but we were able to talk them into giving us this money in advance. So that helps with our cash flow. So we've got, in that area, the total restricted, we've got $3.4 million. Now, part of that is the new discretionary surtax that we have to use for infrastructure, which is about $500,000. Also in that number is the Henderson Trust Fund, which is $875,000. Now, we cannot use any of that except for the interest that's earned on it. So we take that and we move it over to the cemetery for operations and such in there. So, and the last one is our reserves. I know everybody talks about this and asks me about this. We took out money out of our reserves a few months ago to deal with the roof at the senior center. And so we're in the process of paying that back. And so we're back up to about $312,000. The last one I saw that I remember, we were around 341. We're trying to get it to about 350, and hopefully by the end of this calendar year, that's where we're going to be. So, and then we will analyze. There's a kind of a theory that goes by. You look at how many expenditures you have for the year, and you try to get at least 2 or 3 months reserved. And so we're a little bit off of that, even with the 350. So we're going to keep moving at that. That number right now is like $400,000. So, but we're going to keep moving at that to get up to that. So our total cash for as of May 31st. This is not everything. This is the general ledger, not everything we had in the bank, but it was just over $4 million. Noting that 3.3 of that was for that restricted money. And as you can see in the graph, from September 2017 all the way until May 18, there's very little fluctuation in that, which is what we like to see, because I work with a lot of different governmentals, and it depends on time of year, their cash will go up and down. Now, saying that, in the next few months, we're going to finish the SWA grant project, the Commissioner grant project, and the Marina grant project. So that's about $2 million. So we're going to get back down to around $2 million in cash where we need to be, where we usually are, so, okay. All right. The next page, this is a snapshot of the first 8 months. We're about 70% into the year, and we've got, all our property taxes, the majority of those, I'd say 95% of those, we've already collected. We're not going to collect any more. So that first line, we're not going to see a lot of movement, but we still have Florida Power and Light, the franchise tax that goes in there. That will still, we'll be still collecting for that. And there's certain state revenue grants, taxes that we'll still get. So that 70% will go up. We'll hopefully be pretty close to budget by the end of September. And the grants, license permits, small grants and agreements, that's a large amount. We've already talked about that with those 3 big grants. We've already gotten that, so we've already recognized that. If for any chance that those projects are not finished, then whatever's left, we'll move that over as deferred revenue. So, fines and fees, we're right where we need to be, recreation. And so the total revenues, the budget we have is just about 5.2 million. And so we're at 4 million, which is 76% of our budget. And like I said, we, at this time of year, we look at to be around 70%. So we're looking good right there. Going down the expenditures, the only one that the various accounts, which is IT, legal, the Commissioner Park grant is in there, and also what we pay the sheriff. That looks a little skewed because we still have several months to pay the sheriff, and we also have the $550 for the SWA grant that we haven't spent any of that yet. So, or at least by May 31st.
Commissioner's Park.
Commissioner's Park, sorry. Commissioner's Park. So that one is the one that's a little skewed in that respect. So, but if we go on down, the total expenditures, of course, we have a balanced budget, is 5.2 for the budget, and then we have an actual of 3.3. So we're about 64% into our budget, which, just taking 8 divided by 12, this is 67%, so we're right around that amount. So the actual we've collected in revenues is 3.9, almost 4 million. We have paid out 3.34, so that leaves us with $605,000. Now, granted, there's issues in there there's grants in there that haven't been spent. I'd love to say that we're gonna end the year at 605. I would love that. But we are in our slow months, with our taxes. Our property taxes have already been collected. So we will have to survive on most of that 605. I'm hoping that we can still push over into reserve about $200,000 at the end of the year. That's what I'm hoping. So hopefully it's more. We have a lot of things. The biggest thing out there is Irma. Waiting on, we've got about $350,000, $400,000 tied up in that we've already had to pay out. So we're waiting to get reimbursement for that. So that'll be a nice shot in the arm. So the other two, I'm not going to spend as much time on these. This is on the next page is on the marine and campground. Right now, that looks, we've got operating income of $724,000. The main reason we have that is because that's that grant that we got it up front. And so we're spending that money now. So, and we always have, I've been here since 2014, and we've always had a hard time trying to find somebody to manage it and get that, to get enough revenue to cover our expenses. So the general fund's always, gonna transfer money over there to help that fund out. So. And the cemetery, we actually, at the moment, we have a loss of just over $19,000. Nothing to be worried about there. We still have a few months to get some more charges for services, and and we've got a little bit of a spending freeze now, so we've controlled costs over the next few months because this is our, like I said, this is our slow time. So we want to slow it down on the spending and when we need it. So. And that's it. The budget, like Chandler talked about, you'll be getting that. We put a document together with that that'll show you the budgets over the last couple of years, what we anticipate for the budget for FY19, and that'll be a lot more detailed. This was just a snapshot of kind of where we're at now, and so if you've got questions, we'll entertain them.
Well, you answered one of my questions when I referenced how long have you been. You know, I wanted to ask that, but you already referenced that in your presentation. You've been here since 2014, so that's.
I think I almost have seniority now. I think Ms. Belanca is, she's the one that might be the only one who's been here longer than I have.
And so that speaks to the fact that you've been here prior
Yes.
to the
yes.
city managers.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Moore, the city manager previously, was the one that actually hired me.
Oh, okay. Being that you are serving in a role as an external auditor, when it comes to procurement procedures, from what you've seen in your review, how well has the city done in following it with fidelity?
We had a couple issues when the auditors came in last year, which is in the audit report. So, and so we've worked on those items. It was we sat down with the auditor and found out what he was looking for, what we needed to do. So we've adjusted policies and procedures, and that's kind of a normal thing, when you have a finding from an auditor. So.
And my second question, I know maybe my colleagues will have some questions as well. When you mentioned also in your presentation that you've worked with other municipalities
yes.
or other governmental entities. And in your going to different governmental entities, in comparison with the city of Pahokee, how are we operating when you compare with other entities? Are we operating on an A rating, B rating? I mean, how well are we operating?
I would say, when I got here, we were probably a high C, but I would say now, and I'm going to give this a lot of credit to Batista. We went for 2 or 3 year and a half without a finance director. So, and I can't be here every day. So once we brought Batista on, I'm saying A. I think we're doing and I think with us being able to come to you tonight with a document that's dated May 31st, and we're just June 26th. I've got some clients that it's 2 months later before they issue statements on a monthly basis. So, and I've got some that issue pretty quick. So, and I think we're going to get to that point. So.
Commissioner Everett, what also assists Mr. Hartley in providing some oversight is when we changed our software system here in the city of Pahokee, our financial software system, it allowed him to be remote into our system to look at all of our spending. And that was great because typically you would have to physically come in. And now the way our software system is designed, even if I'm traveling or Ms. Francis is traveling for conferences or training, we can still communicate and I can still do the business of the city remotely for purchasing and spending purposes. And so that has aided his ability to work more intricately with this financial department.
Okay, thank you.
In addition, a question from the commission?
You mentioned cemetery laws.
Yes.
Took it from
Oh,
Yeah, but go ahead.
I was writing while he was talking. And you said not to be worried. And, I know it's but
I've had,
19,000.
since I've been here, I've seen that go up and down. The best year was about 2 or 3 years ago, where I think we ended the year $30,000. There's things that I think in my mind needs to be up there. Needs to be done. We don't have, and this is something you'll see in the audit report. We don't have a good inventory system, and I don't want to try to be too gruesome, but we need to know which holes are empty and which holes are, because we need to know what we can sell. And over the years, it's been kind of hard since we've had different people up there. And I don't know if we can go out and get some kind of grant that would go up and do the ultrasound on the ground and find out all of that. Because that's one of the qualifications that we have on our audit report, which you can see. And we've had that for several years, but because of that fact, you know. So, and I used to be an auditor, so I understand why they give it to us, you know, because it's a big cemetery. And the other thing is, you know, this doesn't include depreciation expense, so we'll have to include that. So, but hopefully between now and then, you know, we can, you know, see some more revenue coming in, but you never know, you know, so.
Yeah, Commissioner Everett typically, he sort of answered, you know, strategically, but what happens with the cemetery is when services are not being rendered at a certain rate, we still have to pay for our overhead, staff, insurance, et cetera. And so when we have those light months throughout the year, we typically float that money to pay for staff and operations. But in a perfect world, we would love to see ongoing services. Of course, that means funeral services. And when those funeral services are not at the rate we expect for typical months, then our costs, you know, goes beyond what we're taking in. So it depends on how many funeral services we're having, because we have to front some of that money out front for burial, for headstones, et cetera. But when those services are down for funeral services, we're still paying out that overhead.
Well, please don't pray for death.
No.
I don't want to get in predicting death.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that either.
I just want to get into that. So.
Yeah, so, and so usually I don't want to say this, but usually we kind of sort of catch up with that loss by the end of the year. That can be appropriately said this evening, so, yeah.
I have just one quick question. What is the difficulty of having monthly financial reports at a minimum quarterly at all the boards I have served on?
It's fine.
I'm just used to having,
I can do my stuff.
and that's something that's been requested
You
for
don't
a
want me to
while
come,
now.
do you want me to come here and present them though? You just want them?
Well, I
emailed
think at
or-
least maybe on a quarterly basis you can
Quarterly
present,
basis,
but
uh-huh.
something that we can have and review on a monthly basis possible. If that's too difficult, I would accept even quarterly.
Is what you have in front of you okay, or are you?
I like a little more detail in
A little
this.
more
This is a little overview, a snapshot.
Right.
I like the actual
Yeah, like I said,
financial
this was
budget.
just a snapshot before the budget.
Mhm.
And then
Right.
when you get the budget, it's several, you remember, there's several pages. So when you get that, so you get to entertain yourself. So, but yeah, we can experiment. I do monthly reports for several clients, so I can get with Batista and we can kind of look at those and see what's
Even if that's an overload, I would be satisfied with a quarterly report.
Yeah.
My goal is to have a monthly report for
Yeah,
this
I don't
commission
see
to
it.
review, but
Yeah.
certainly a quarterly report at a minimum, I think
Yeah.
we should have.
That's it, yeah.
Mayor,
Yeah,
be aware that when you get, our last quarterly was March, actually, when we gave
Yeah.
a report, but it wasn't as this detailed. I think this is more detailed than we've given in the last year.
Yes.
If you go to a monthly, which is great, it's not a problem, but you're not going to capture everything in just a month. That's why we do quarterly reports typically.
I don't
but-
remember when quarterly is receiving them.
It came out
may be the
March.
only one, though.
No, it came out March.
We had a quarter report in March.
It was just a one pager. It was a one pager. Yeah, it was a one pager. Yeah, but yeah, that's not a problem too. We can do that.
And Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I promise you, I just have one other question. I see property tax
Yes.
is a factor within our budget.
Yeah.
Correct.
The homestead exemption, where it's something that's going to be on the ballot, proposing that homes valued below 75,000 would be exempt.
Okay.
How would that, I don't know if you've thought about it, or if you all have put that in, have taken that into consideration, being that property taxes is a part of our budget in terms of revenue. Have we thought about how that's going to impact us as a city when we look at the fact that we may not have as many homes as other cities have that are valued at or above 75,000?
Yeah, when we go through the budget process, we'll, of course, consider that.
Okay.
We get documents from the tax assessor's office,
Mhm.
which helps out a lot because they're the one assessing the property. So they give us numbers and we do the calculations
Okay.
from there.
All right.
So, but a lot of that's the tax assessor's office, so,
Thank you.
okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Mayor, I put before the commission the dates for budget workshops and final hearing for 2018-2019 budget. Please notate that on your calendars. Those are dates that we'll have 2 budget workshops, July 23rd, August 20th. Then you have let me back up. You have an adoption of the tentative millage on July 10th, July 3rd budget workshop, August 20th budget workshop, and of course you have the tentative budget hearing that'll happen in commission meeting, and then of course the final budget meeting will happen in regular commission meeting. So you only have 2 major budget workshops to be concerned with that are outside of regular commission meetings. In between those 2 budget workshops, we'll continue to build our new 2018-2019 budget. So you'll constantly get updates on the changes in the budget as we build each department's budget over that time frame. So please notate that to your calendars for the 2018-2019 budget workshops. I don't have too much to discuss as far as the manager's report. I'll save that for the regular meeting. If we have any additional questions about the agenda, I think we need to save those till 6:30, since we're beyond the time frame here.
Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Financial Director, for your financial report. Thank you. At this time, we'll adjourn the workshop, and we're going to convene to our regular commission meeting immediately. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Manager, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes.
Commissioner Walker.
Yes.
Commissioner Everett.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Merriman.
Yes.
I call this meeting of the Pahokee City Commission, regular commission meeting of Tuesday, June the 26th, 2018, to order at 6:31. May we please stand for the invocation given by Commissioner Everett, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Father in heaven, we come before your presence with confidence, but we also come with humility to transact the business of this great city. And Father, we pray that all that we do would be to your glory, but also that we would do what we do in decency and in order for the betterment of all of our citizens. And so, Father, we pray that you would guide our efforts, our conversations, our thoughts, that we may do that which is best. So, God, we pray for our mayor, our city manager, my colleagues, the attorney. Guide our efforts, God. This I pray in your Son, Jesus' name. But before I end, I pray even for the Commissioner Walker's family. We pray, God, that you will hold them in your hands during their moments and the hour of bereavement. Let them know that earth has no sorrow, that heaven is not capable of healing. Heaven is able to take care of them. And we just thank you, and we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Walker, City Manager,
Present.
City Attorney,
Here.
Lieutenant Piccolo, City Clerk, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff. Thank Commissioner Everett for the invitation. Thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our regular commission meeting of Tuesday, June 26, 2018. We'll move directly into our agenda. First, business of order, additions, deletions, and approval of agenda items. city manager, at this time, do we have any addition to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we have a resolution 2018-37. That is our statewide mutual aid agreement to receive our reimbursements from FEMA. 2018-37. 2018-38 is our LED lighting agreement, and that's sort of gonna straddle along with our FP&L agreement on second reading tonight. So we needed to add that. And 2018-38 is the second one, LED lighting.
Okay.
And then 2018-39, that is a request for the city manager to purchase a new transportation van for Parks and Recreation, which is part of surtax funding projects for the city of Pahokee.
Commissioners, any additional add-ons?
Mayor, I apologize, and we have a proclamation.
Okay. So we have-
And I'm sorry, Mayor, and then there'll be additional update from the city attorney as it pertains to stationary peddlers, SaaS vendors, and garage sales.
Okay, would that come under the city attorney report?
Yes.
It's separate, okay.
Yes. Okay, so we have 2018-37, 2018-38, and 2018-39
Okay.
as additions.
So the resolution, the three resolution, we'll just take them in order right after resolution 2018-36.
Correct.
Move them in order.
Correct.
And then we'll go to the public hearing with the ordinance.
Yes.
And
Okay.
where would the proclamation fall?
The proclamation will go on the new business.
K.
Okay.
Okay.
K.
Okay,
Yeah, section K.
Okay.
Okay,
that's it.
right.
All right.
That's it, Mayor, for additions, deletions.
okay. City Commission, having heard the add-on and no additional deletions to the agenda, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept the additions, resolutions 37, 38, 39, and also proclamations as they were read and reported by the city manager.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners. It's been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of the agenda with the three add-on resolution, the add-on proclamation, and the update from the city attorney. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Walker. Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The agenda passes by a unanimous vote. Now we'll move to our citizen comments. You must have a comment card completed. At this time, City Clerk, do we have any comments card pertaining to agenda items?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to our public service announcement. You also must have a public service comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any public service comment card completed?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to the approval of the minutes. We don't have any minutes available to be approved at this time. Consent agenda, we don't have any consent agenda items. Ordinance, we have one ordinance, but we're gonna move that further in our agenda. Now we'll move to our resolution, Resolution 2018-36, City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an amendment to grant agreement between the Department of Economic Opportunity and the City of Pahokee. This is in regards to the $1.2 million funding grant between the city and Department of Economic Opportunity. And it provides that as long as the city enters into a contract for those funds prior to June 30th of this year, and provides for payment, final invoice no later than August 31st, that it will fall within the terms of that grant.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-36 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2018-36.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-36. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-36 passes by a unanimous vote. Now we have Resolution 2018-37. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee authorizing and directing the mayor to execute the statewide mutual aid agreement and providing for an effective date. This is a standard mutual aid agreement signed by all municipalities in the state of Florida to help each other in the event of a disaster or emergency.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-36 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I motion to accept the resolution 2018-37.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2018-37. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-37 passes by unanimous vote. Now we have Resolution 2018-38. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee authorizing and directing the mayor to execute the LED lighting agreement between Florida Power Light Company and the City of Pahokee. This agreement provides for the replacement of many of the city lights with LED lights, which are more efficient and will provide a cost savings in electricity.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-38 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 2018-38.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Hill and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-38. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-38 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll have Resolution 2018-39. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the city authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order for an automobile for the use of the Parks and Recreation Department for city business. This is a cash purchase of $27,907 for a 2017 Ford Transit 350.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners, having had Resolution 2018-39 properly read into the minutes, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2018-39 as read by City Attorney regarding a purchase of automobile for Parks and Rec use.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2018-39. Call for questions. Questions. City Manager, did we get 3 bids? And did we also look at the possibility of piggybacking off maybe the county contract for purchasing of vehicles to maybe reduce costs?
No, this is not a bid type of contract that this is not a type of purchase that we need bids for. We do go out and I talked to several dealers. This is a surtax funded project, and part of that surtax for Parks and Recreation Department is renovations, as you know, and also purchase of any type of vehicles that we need. But I did talk to several Ford dealers before I settled in on this cost here. Most of the vehicles I saw were between $41,000 for purchase. This was a trade-in, and so we were very lucky to have it on the lot when I showed up. It's the same dealer that we bought the city manager's vehicle from, but we did talk to several Ford dealers, but most of the bids that I saw was in the range of $38,000 to $45,000, and that was before taxes were subtracted. When taxes were subtracted, it came down to about $35,000. So this was the cheapest price. Parks and Rec certainly needs a new transportation vehicles for our youth. We do have a current van that we're going to keep in our fleet, but we're going to put that in the shop and see if we can get some work done to it. But again, we did, entertain about 3 bids from different dealers, and this was the cheapest cost.
Okay. Just clarification for my purposes in the future, if we're making purchases, especially when it's a certain amount of funding, although it may be surtax money, I thought it was my understanding we still would be required to at least get 3 competitive.
Yeah, 3 quotes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 3 quotes. This is the cheapest. Yep.
In addition, a question for the city manager. Hearing none, are you ready for the vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker, Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-39 passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to our public hearing on ordinance 2018-02. I'll have the city attorney again read this into the minutes before opening the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, this is the second and final reading of an ordinance granting to Florida Power and Light Company its assessors and assigns an electric franchise imposing provisions and conditions relating thereto and providing to monthly payments to the city of Pahokee and providing for an effective date. This is a 30-year franchise grant. It comes on the back of the last 30-year franchise that the city had given to FPL. It provides for payments to the city in the amount of 6% of revenues, which are as defined in the agreement. And it gives FP&L the right to use the city streets and easements to conduct their business. The manager and I have both been working with FP&L to work out the details of this agreement. Believe it's in the city's best interest. It will result in a minor increase in funds to the city as revenue.
Thank you, City Attorney. At this time, I will open public hearing for ordinance 2018-02. Do anyone in the audience wish to address the commission at this time?
I have a question. Okay, go ahead.
Hearing none, at this time, I close the public hearing on ordinance 2018-02. Entertain a motion for its adoption.
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to adopt ordinance 2018-02.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of ordinance 2018-02. Call for question, Commissioner Hill.
How much more revenue will the city get?
We have our FP&L representatives here tonight. If they want to come up and answer that question, I think it's, I don't know, between about $57,000 more in revenue that the city will receive under this new agreement. If they want to come up and clarify that, you can give them 2 minutes if, at their pleasure. Commissioner.
Commissioner Hill, yeah, my name is Matt Pulaski. I'm from Florida Power and Light. So yeah, it's about $50,000 difference, and also it does depend on what the revenue that the customers bring in as well.
Okay.
But it's about a $50,000 difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from the commission? Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker, Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution, or I'm going to say ordinance 2018-02 passes on second reading by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to proclamations. We have one proclamation that the request of, I believe, Commissioner Walker. City Attorney, could you read the proclamation into the record?
This is the Juneteenth week proclamation. Whereas the citizens in Pahokee will support and celebrate Juneteenth during the last week in June, and whereas the main goal in having a Juneteenth celebration is to commemorate and perpetuate the heritage, culture, and contributions of African Americans, and whereas Juneteenth is a week that we commit each other the needed support as family, friends, and co-workers, and whereas it is a week we shall come together, young and old, to listen and refresh the drive to achieve, and whereas it is a week where we will all take one step closer together to better utilize the energy wasted on racism. And now therefore resolved on behalf of the City Commission and the citizens of Pahokee that by virtue of the authority vested in the mayor, he does hereby designate June 25 through 29th as Juneteenth week.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Commissioners having had proclamation of Juneteenth week properly read into the minutes. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order, I do count this a privilege and an honor to offer a motion that we accept this proclamation, Juneteenth week, as it has been read in record by our city attorney.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption and acceptance of the proclamation as read into record. Call for questions. Hearing none, you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker. Yes. Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The proclamation passes by unanimous vote. Now we're moving to our presentations. We have a presentation from Lakeside Medical Center, an update. City Attorney, City Manager, you want to introduce the guests?
Yes, we have representatives. I know that it's several of them, so I'm just going to say we have representatives from the Lakeside Medical Center here. I think they're getting queued up for a presentation, waiting on our IT to bring it on screen.
Mr. Mayor, if I'm in order,
Yes, sir.
can we take care of the business and lawn of the month, maybe, now, because there may be questions for Lakeside? Could we do that? I
That's
hate
fine.
that they got up and maybe
That's fine with me.
You want to just reorder?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry,
All right, sorry.
Lakeside.
IT is not ready. We'll move to
Okay. That's fine with me,
the
Mayor.
second presentation, which would be
The two businesses
the
of the
two
month
business of the
and the lawn of the
month.
month.
Commissioner Everett this month selected the business. We're going to have him presented and have one of his co-commissioners also present the second award, but he can actually give an overview of the two businesses he selected. And we'll go down up front and present these if they are here.
The two businesses, as is indicated on your agenda, I'm real proud to present them. My first time, and I don't know if we have a representative from Pure gas station, but we do have a representative, the owner of Perfect Shine Auto Detail. And I'm very honored to present this one, a young man, young African-American man, business owner, and he does a wonderful job.
Yes, he does.
With detailing my car on a Sunday morning. And so
How y'all doing
I'm
today?
just privileged to do this, and
Yes,
please
ma'am.
patronize me.
I'm Javasky Kelly.
We-
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're gonna get you. Yeah, we're gonna get you. All right. It is our business of the week, business of the month rather, presented to Perfect Shine Auto Detail in recognition of outstanding service to the community on the 26th day of June 2018. Mayor Keith W. Babb Jr., Commissioner Benny L. Everett III, Vice Mayor Claire Mervin, Commissioner Felicia C. Hill, Commissioner Diane L. Walker, and Chandler F. Williamson, our city manager. And again, my brother, congratulations, and I wish you much success in your business. Okay. Oh, she's coming back. This is Commissioner Walker's grandson.
Yeah. I'm Javasky Kelly, and I really appreciate this award. I get real nervous on the mic.
You good? Please support his business. He does mobile service, and he's also positioned. You're over at Coco's parking lot, but he also comes to your home, and he does excellent service and a man of integrity. So I use him. Yeah.
And I think he gives the first 3 car washes for free. The 5th one, 3rd one.
Your 4th one is free.
I'm trying to get it in.
You know, he's correct with that.
The next business of the month is presented to Pure Gas Station in recognition of an outstanding service to the community on the 26th day of June, 2018. Mayor Keith Babb, Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Everett, myself, Commissioner Hill, and Vice Mayor Mervin, including our wonderful city manager, Mr. Chandler Williamson. I don't know if anyone is here to receive this, but if anybody gets if they get word, please let them know. Well, we'll make sure they get it. That's our next.
And for a while, we were without a gas station in terms of Marathon, and they were the gas station that stood in the stead to make sure not only we got gas, but we ate. And our youth at Shallow definitely appreciates them.
Okay, the third presentation would be our Lawn of the Month. We're going to ask that Toby Lee Osborne and Brenda, his wife, please come up. We actually acknowledged them last commission meeting, but we didn't have the check, this big pot check. I'm going to let our city manager again just kind of give them an overview why these couples was selected as Lawn of the Month.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we created a program here in the city of Pahokee that awards a resident who owns a home Lawn of the Month, and we created that award to to get camaraderie of home ownership and competition thriving through our community, where our residents who own homes and even rental property will maintain their lawns and really take pride, which they already do, in the exterior of their homes. And it's been really rewarding to watch all the folks get that sign placed in their yard, because that Lawn of the Month sign is placed in their lawn, and everyone gets to drive by and see that sign. And so it spurs competition among our residents. And hopefully, as that sign makes its way around all of the communities here in the city of Pahokee, we'll have that spirit of competition everywhere throughout the community, where everyone's maintaining their lawns, everyone's maintaining their homes. And it's just, it's great to see. Other cities do it. It's an opportunity for us to, participate in that type of recognition for our community. And it certainly brings out the competition. Our commissioner lives across the street from this family, and she talks about all the things that she does to her yard, and when she's going to get the sign, and I tell her we can't give a commissioner a sign because it's a check. So. But overall, we're really excited to do this every month. It's a special presentation, and we thank you for taking pride in your home and being an example for other residents in this city. So thank you very much.
I have our Vice Mayor Mervin actually present the certificate.
The Lawn of the Month is presented to Brenda B. and Toby L. Osborne, 348 Kismet Avenue, Pahokee, Florida, in recognition of beautifying the community on presented this 26th day of June 2018. Mayor Keith Bow Jr., Vice Mayor Clyburn Mervin, Commissioner Benny L. Everett, Commissioner Felicia Hill, Commissioner Diane Walker, Chandler Williamson, Chest City Manager. It is my pleasure to present this to you.
And Brenda and Toby Osborne, on behalf of the City Commission, Vice Mayor Mervin, Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill, and our city manager and our entire city staff and myself, would like to congratulate you on being Lawn of the Month, and I would like to present you with this check, a token of our sincere appreciation for the hard work and effort you put into making your lawn beautiful, to make the community beautiful. And please consider spending this money within the city of Pahokee.
Give back.
Yes, give back. And if you like to say a few words, you can at this time.
Well, I just like to say I thank you. I appreciate it. And I thank y'all for taking notice. You notice me and Commissioner Mervin, we be in competition.
And I be caught in the middle.
Yeah, so if she go do something, I go do something. If I go do something, she go do something. So, but thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Get you back. Again, thanks and congratulations to the 3 awardees tonight, the 2 Business of the Month and also the Lawn of the Month. Now we'll move, if the IT person is ready, to the Lakeside Medical Center update presentation.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Good evening.
I do have a presentation, and I am Darcy Davis. I'm the CEO of the Healthcare District for Palm Beach County. I have got a couple folks with me. I will go ahead and introduce them. Here it goes. Fancy dressers behind me are doctors. They're going to have just a moment to speak to you in just a second. But also in the audience, Stephanie Dardanello is the administrator of Lakeside, and Karen Harris is our vice president of field operations, and then Robin is over here taking pictures. Sure? Sorry. Do I have to start over? I'm just kidding. Dr. Ken Shepke is here behind me. He's the director of emergency services. And Dr. Padron, Daniel Padron, is our chief, here we go, he's our chief medical officer for Lakeside. Dr. Anderk is on the pictures, but she's out of the country, so I did not introduce her tonight. If you'll go ahead and forward that for me. I don't have a clicker. Could you go ahead and click the next slide? Oops, well, we skipped one, I think. I wanted to make sure you saw the smiling faces of your peers in the community. There is a slide that has the, after that, oh, on the wrong way. Next. Where's that slide? There we go. Okay, so the Board of Commissioners, this is the Healthcare District Board. So Brian Lohman lives out in Belle Glade and works at the co-op. He's the chair. And he's an appointee from the County Commission. There are 3 appointees from the governor's office, and Dr. Alonzo serves as the director of the health department, and she stays in that position as long as she's the director of the health department. Next slide. These folks are the Lakeside Health Advisory Board, so you may recognize some of them. Reverend Reese is our chair for Lakeside Health Advisory Board. I know that Angie Pope and Julia Hale live out here in Pahokee, and then Sandra Chambly has been around for a while in this community. And Mary Weeks used to be the director of nursing at Lakeside, or the Glades Hospital before. And Danya Roberts is a local attorney. And there again, you see Dr. Alonzo. So, click. So things you may know about Lakeside, but I just want to kind of give you a brief update. My purpose tonight is to answer questions, squash rumors, and see if there's anything you want to know that you don't know already. So let me just start by giving you some facts, and we'll kind of roll into it. But Lakeside, the new facility, 70 beds. It has all private rooms. I still think it's relatively new. It's 2009, time flies. And we have the only rural teaching hospital family medicine program in Florida. Click. By the numbers, I love numbers. I'm a CPA by training. So 34,000 patients were seen in 2017 at Lakeside. You'll notice the majority of those emergency room visits. We do quite a hefty volume. That averages about 60 a day. We do other outpatient services. We admitted 2,200 patients, 802 surgeries, 447 babies delivered, and we employ 347 people at Lakeside, and about a little over 30% of those come from this community, not just Pahokee, but the Glades region. So what are we doing? We've made a lot of changes, and that's probably what starts rumors and why there's questions, and just trying to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Stephanie is new as of November 17. She's our new administrator. We just met Dr. Padron, and we'll talk a little more about him in just a moment. Probably the biggest change we've made, and you saw the volumes in relation to the ED, that is really the front door of the hospital. Most people have their first encounter with Lakeside through the emergency room. The biggest thing we did was we made a change to that group. So the group that used to be there, that had been there for a number of years, were family practice doctors, but they were serving in the emergency room. The guys that we hired, of which these 2 are some of the most impressive ones, are board-certified ED physicians, and that's significant. I'm going to ask them to tell you why. What is so significant about it? It certainly costs us as a healthcare district and as a community more money, but there's a lot of benefit and there's a lot of reason that we continue to invest
and bring higher quality of care, higher level practitioners out here. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Shepke if you'll indulge us to tell you a little bit about their credentials and also tell you why it matters, why we're making these changes. So,
Be careful.
She's in good hands. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Dr. Ken Shepke. I am dual board certified in the fields of emergency medicine and the subspecialty of EMS. EMS is basically the subspecialty that takes care of fire rescue. One thing you didn't hear is I'm also the Chief Medical Officer for Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. So when you dial 911, the paramedics are working under protocols that specialists like myself set up. So Darcy tasked me with bringing an elite group of emergency physicians here to Lakeside because it's something that she felt we needed to raise the level of care to this community. And so she tasked me to bring this group together, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we did and what group we've brought. So we didn't just bring board-certified emergency physicians here. We brought what we consider to be an elite group of board-certified emergency physicians. Every single one of these physicians are at the top of their game, basically. Every single one is a former chief resident, meaning they graduated at the top of their class, a former assistant medical director or medical director of a large, busy emergency department, meaning they know process improvement, how to improve patient care, improve patient satisfaction, and things of the like. So every single one of them is a leader in the field of emergency medicine. And we come to this department with a pretty simple philosophy, and something my paramedics have heard me say before, and I'll ask this group the same thing. If you're a patient in this audience and hear the sound of my voice, raise your hand. And I ask you to raise your hand if you're a patient, and you don't see a lot of hands go up, but in reality, every single one of us in this room, myself included, is a patient. Exactly right, you got it, Vice Mayor. So we go in with that philosophy, understanding that somewhere along the timeline, it'll be my turn to dial 911. It'll be my colleague's turn. It'll be everybody here in this room's turn to require the health care needs that we can provide at Lakeside. And with that in mind, we create the systems of care that are the optimal for when we personally need them. So it's sort of a selfish way of looking at it, but also a great community way of looking at it, where we look upon this community as our family, because we want you all to have the same exact care that we would expect for ourselves. And that is our basic philosophy there. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Padron, who is our Chief Medical Officer, and he can tell you a little bit more about some of the experiences that we've had here at Lakeside. But I will tell you already that we notice that there's a better level of critical care expertise. That's one of the things that emergency medicine does, is we are trained in every single subspecialty's worst days, meaning whatever you come through that door with, we understand whether it's plastic surgery, OB, family medicine, internal medicine, cardiology. We know the emergencies in all of our colleagues' practices, so we can deal with anybody's worst day on earth. And we have that critical care, life-saving skills that allow us to get you the stabilization you need so we can transport you back east if we don't have the services here at Lakeside. So it's really critical we have that expertise in the emergency department, because we won't always have all the specialists we need out here. So that level of stabilization is really critical. And I'll introduce Dr. Padron, who actually used to be some of the recipients of some of the cases from Lakeside. Maybe you can tell some examples.
Hello, everybody. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mayor, City Manager, City Clerk, City Attorney, community of Pahokee. Thank you for having us. Very excited to be here. This is a great opportunity to talk about what we're doing, what we're hoping to do. So a little bit about myself. My parents came here from Cuba with nothing. Started from the bottom. So we've come a long way, and that work ethic is something that's been instilled in me, and has continued to push me from being very successful in Miami. I was a medical director at Jackson. Then before that at JFK, now at Palms West, and that evolved into becoming the Chief Medical Officer at Lakeside. And behind it at all times was service and helping those that couldn't help themselves. And that kind of brought me to this great opportunity to help out in Belglade. And I'll give you a perspective as being the medical director of Palms West. Within the first week, I had multiple transfers coming in. Really sick people. Really sick people that weren't properly stabilized. Really sick people that came in, and I had to ask, what did they do over there? You know, this patient's not, airway's not protected properly, blood pressure's too low, antibiotics aren't started, what's going on? And having the relationship I have with Dr. Shepke, who's the director of EMS, I contacted him and said, what's going out there, you know, what's going on out there in Belle Glade? I'm not familiar with this area. And that kind of led to where we are today, which is an opportunity to try and improve what's going on. The healthcare district was able to identify it, task Dr. Shepke. Luckily, I was able to be involved in it, and I happen to have a lot of friends that are also medical directors in Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Dade County. And the opportunity was presented to these medical directors who, to be a medical director, you have to be, as Dr. Shepke said, top of your class, chief resident. You're picked out to lead. So we're able to get them all together and say, hey, let's go out to Lakeside as a group, take ownership of the department, which is what we've done, and bring over the standard of care that's appropriate. And we've been able to do that. And some of the opportunities that I've come across and that I've seen and have been really amazing. I'll give you a case. Dr. Perez Alonso. About 3 weeks ago, I had a patient come in. Blood pressure was really low. Heart rate was really fast. Nobody knew what was going on. Our CAT scan reading isn't back yet because we haven't totally evolved throughout all our processes. But being a board-certified ER doctor, he knows how to read a CAT scan. Only 2 specialties know how to do that, radiologist and a board-certified ER doctor. He's able to look at the CAT scan, not wait until that reading came back while the patient was unstable and say, there's too much fluid around the heart. The heart can't beat completely. And after that, he had the witherall, the training, and the confidence himself to go get a very large needle, place it through the patient's chest, and drain out 50 cc's of blood to allow her heart to continue beating. And then put her on the trauma hawk and send her to St. Mary's, and she's alive. And she actually came back today. I just saw her in the ER before coming over, so it's pretty amazing. That patient wouldn't be alive today if there wasn't a board-certified ER doctor in the ED. So that, to me, shows that we're doing the right thing. We're getting there. It's an evolution. It's going to be a process. It's exciting. I started off in the ER as a medical director. Within a few months, they asked me to be the chief medical officer and do more throughout the hospital. And I noticed there's opportunities there as well. There's opportunities for growth, for professionalism. This is a very tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's talking about everybody. And I don't like it. I don't like it in the hospital. Number one thing you got to do as a doctor is respect your patient. So does a nurse, so does a secretary, so does everyone in the building. So one of the things that I'm going to be spearheading is professionalism in the hospital, keeping everyone's business their business. I don't want anyone in the community to come into the ED, see who's working at the desk, and say, no, I can't go in today. That person's going to tell everybody my business. And that happens. Because I ask people, I say, well, you know, I'm the medical director of Palms West. I see them come in, and I see you're from Belle Glade. Why'd you drive all the way over here? It's 30 miles away. I was there yesterday. You could have seen me there yesterday. Well, so-and-so was there, and they know my cousin, they know my sister. So we're working on all that. We're working on every facet of the hospital to improve overall care, bring the quality of care that we're accustomed to at Jackson, at JFK, at Palms West, to try and bring to the community improvements overall. So that's a little bit about myself, why I'm doing what I'm doing, what I've seen so far, where the growth is. Hopefully you guys have some questions I can answer for you as well.
Keep going, keep going. Can you bring the presentation for me? Thank you. So that's the beginning, right? So that's the busiest place. That's where we're started with the emergency room. We did have a deficiency-free survey. ACA comes in and does a survey to determine whether we are a safe organization, and we had a deficiency-free survey, and we've been recognized as an area of distinction for maternity care by Florida Blue. So what other things are going on? Well, we're continuing to make our commitment to our family practice residency. In fact, last week we just had a graduation. We're investing in certified wound care nurses, clinical educators to make sure all the nurses, all the medical team are continuing to stay current on competencies. We continue to provide mammograms and biopsies, bringing in a lactation consultant to help new moms and learn more about breastfeeding. We're investing in a CT scanner, which is 128 slice, but obviously more technology, more current. We continue to partner with the Diabetes Coalition and promote, and we have plans, long-term plans down the road to help roll out more wellness initiatives in the community. And we continue to reinvest in the physicality of the space, so the hospital grounds and the facility itself. What else are we doing? So those are just ongoing. Those just keep going. These are some of the more significant transformational changes. So we are moving the primary care clinic that currently sits off of Main Street in Belglade. The adults and peds, as well as the dental, will move into the back of the hospital. We will have it all as a one-stop shop. We are bringing on a psychiatrist. A lot of folks that come in, their needs are not always medical. A lot of them are mental health issues. We're bringing in a psychiatrist who we've not had access to in the past. Additional specialists. So Dr. Shepke talked about today, you know, there still is a need, even though they stabilize someone, we're still having to send some people out because we don't have all of the specialists in. We're planning to bring in a multi-specialty group that can address more of those, including GI doctor, orthopedic doctor, ENT. Some of those we're trying to get in. We don't need to employ those, but we can have them rotate in several days a week so that we have access to those, that they can see our patients, and we're not constantly transferring somebody away from Lakeside. Dr. Shepke's relationship with fire rescue, we're looking at a closer integration with EMS. We're looking at also having a vehicle at Lakeside. It's very frustrating when somebody needs to be transferred and it takes hours for a vehicle to come to Lakeside to then transfer somebody out. So that effort has actually already started taking root today. And then the other piece, we operate Trauma Hawk. The thought is that we would have Trauma Hawk out here at least part of the day. So we're working with fire rescue on that, so that for one of their shifts, they're stationed out here so that there's a shorter time to get here. This is just, you know, again, we're licensed as a statutory rural hospital, one of the largest employers in the community. We believe that we are here for a purpose. We are not going anywhere. Our board has made a commitment, and we're investing in the community. If you will go ahead and click. It's kind of hard to see, but all those dots represent somewhere that we have a presence. You know, in addition to having Lakeside and the clinics that I just talked about, we also have a nurse in every school in Palm Beach County. We have a long-term care facility just in the shadows of the VA Center in Riviera Beach. We have a payment program. It's called District Care. So if somebody comes through our clinic and needs care beyond what we can provide, and they meet the eligibility, we'll pay for specialist coverage. So we are really investing. We have recently opened up an MAT, a medication-assisted therapy treatment to help with substance abuse, the opioid epicenter that we are. So we've addressed that. One of the other things in the community that we have also done, and you'll see it soon, is we have also just taken delivery of a very large, I call it a van, but it's actually more like a bus, mobile care. So we will be rolling that out as soon as our IT team can get it wired and our driver can get trained. So we will be going back out into the communities where there's need and we're not seeing people come into the clinics. We will go to them. I envision maybe these guys at the football game and jumping out of the back. You know, we're going to get back out into the community and provide the care. I mean, I think we are tasked with a very specific mission and, you know, have been stagnant over the years, perhaps. The last few years, we're moving forward and trying to respond to the needs of the communities. And, you know, our purpose to create a healthier workforce, help with our children, and provide access to care. So with that, I will take questions. These guys will take questions, anything you have.
City Commission, at this time, are there any questions for Lakeside staff?
I know you mentioned in your presentation one of your purposes for coming is to squash
yes.
Rumors.
Right.
One of the questions I have is what is the hospital doing rather to I guess aid in squashing those rumors in terms of marketing? Because as a local leader and local pastor within the community, I have people that I come in contact with that really doesn't have the faith or the trust in the hospital and the services in which the hospital provides.
Right, understandably. And part, the beginning of that is to get out here to you guys as the officials of the communities. We've also been to Belglade, also been to South Bay, to get out, explain what we're doing. Our team internally is meeting with all of our employees, small groups, because the employees are some of the ones that start the rumors and say they're closing the hospital, because they don't know necessarily what's going on. So trying to improve our communication, but also get out to some of the local, I don't know if you've been yet, to the Rotary, wherever you suggest we need to go. We have also, one of the suggestions we had from one of the other city commissions was that we get back out on the radio station. I think there was some benefit to that. I think, with these guys, Dr. Padron really seemed to enjoy that concept and wanted to spearhead kind of getting the message out a little bit on the radio. But whatever, however you think, if you have suggestions for us, we're open to it. But to really just try to get ahead of it and get out to wherever we're hearing that pushback or concern.
And just to follow up, and I know my colleagues will have additional questions, most times misnomers are communicated within, probably due to lack of transparency, limited information, or what have you.
Sure.
So what are you all doing as a hospital to make sure, because the medical staff, not the medical staff, but the hospital staff can definitely sell the hospital in a very positive light or in a negative light. So what plans or what do you have in place that will help, I guess, better equip the staff at the hospital with the information so that those misnomers of different things aren't communicated? How well are you talking to the staff, the direct staff?
So, Stephanie, you may want to just.
Actually, every day we have a morning huddle for all managers and directors. So every morning at 9 o'clock, all of that information is conveyed to everybody. And then what happens is that I'll take it from there and I'll meet with all of their staff individually just to make sure and double check, just in case that information hasn't passed down from the managers and directors to their staff. So I'll be going, I go to everyone's as well.
Okay.
And then I guess my follow-up answer to that question is that just also following through on what we're committing to. So I'm here telling you we're doing a lot of things and there are a lot of things coming. And I think, the best response to that is that we put our money where our mouth is and that we actually follow through and you start to see the benefits of that in patient care and in the results in terms of the physicians that we're bringing to the table.
In layman's term, I have one question. I'm sitting and I'm listening, but just for clarity, what exactly is your reason that you're here? What are you trying to exactly tell, in one sentence, what it is you're doing to help us understand, just to help others that are watching the video, watching this tape, better understand what exactly you're doing?
I want to make sure you know that we're investing in Lakeside and not shutting it down. That's the message, that we're continuing to invest and make it grow. So there's a lot of change. There's transition. There are people coming and going, but we're investing in it, not shutting it down, not shrinking it, not backing off of our obligation.
I have a question. That's good to hear that, because one of the rumors is like, why are so many of our physicians leaving? Like your radiologists, your anesthesiologist, why are they leaving the hospital?
Well, so they're not necessarily leaving. We have not renewed their contracts. So with the radiology, their contract was up, so we put it out for bid, and we made a different choice. So anesthesia should be following very shortly thereafter as well. So same thing. It's not that some of them are choosing to leave, but we're also increasing the expectations in terms of performance and outcomes. So some of it's very deliberate. Most of it is very deliberate, that we're trying to improve the quality of care.
Commissioner, if I could add to that answer that Darcy gave.
Okay,
if I could put it
ahead.
in one sentence, I would say that I think we've heard the cry out for a higher level of care in this community, and we're doing what we can to meet that need and raise the bar to the highest level you could expect at any other hospital in this county. So we expect you to have no different level of care here than you would to any other hospital you go to in this county, and that's what we're trying to bring to this community.
So question, why is it that you're not working, or I don't want to say that's what you're not doing, but why is it, can you work with the existing staff or the existing doctors, the existing radiologists, why is it we're not? I understand what you're doing, and I understand.
I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay.
So the reason why I got involved was because the quality of care was not up to the standard of care. And I would not want my family taken care of by those physicians. And I say with all due respect, but I'm the one that receives the patients at Palms West, and I'm the one that has to backtrack and figure out what happened and redo all the radiology tests, redo a lot of what's going on. I think what happens is when you're left to be comfortable, you get comfortable, and you don't move and advance with medicine. So you start doing things that maybe aren't best because that's all you know, because you've been in a silo for a long time. And when we started attending the meetings, that was that was apparent right away when, as everyone here was able to conduct a forum appropriately, we could not conduct a forum appropriately in our own meetings. And that's because everybody became very comfortable and not trying to keep a level of professionalism, as we've seen here today, to make sure that nothing's missed, make sure everything's done appropriately. And when we came in, there was pressure applied because we demanded professionalism and a higher standard. Some people decided to leave, some people's contracts weren't renewed, and we are only looking for a higher quality. So I said with all due respect to the previous physicians, they did their best, but we're here today because it wasn't enough. And that they may be great people, and I'm sure the staff loved them, but that doesn't mean they were supplying or giving what was needed to the community, and that's our goal. So I said with respect, I mean disrespect any of the physicians, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I have a question. I listened to some of the services that you're going to be providing. One of the things about Pahokee, the historical fact about it, of the old Everglades Hospital here was a hospital that provided services for kids specifically at one time. That hospital no longer exists here in Pahokee. In fact, we're looking to demolish it one of these days. But my concern, and you brought up Palms West, is what is the strategic plan for providing more pediatricians in the Glades? Because what we have now is we have a lot of our parents with young kids that have to travel the 30-plus miles to Palms West or beyond for good pediatrician care for their kids. So is there a plan in place through Lakeside, and maybe to bring some doctors to our health center here for pediatricians in the Glades?
So we have, through our clinics, we have pediatricians, so we provide adults and pediatric care in the clinic. So the goal is to move those, relocate those into the hospital proper to have access to those physicians. We also have a neonatologist who is available to help with deliveries, but I don't know that, we won't probably ever be a children's hospital with the full complement of pediatric specialists because they're very hard to find. Now, will we at some point, have a pediatric rotation? Very possibly. I look to the clinical folks to tell me how realistic and how we phase that in. But
So one of the things that I've looked into, being that I've been both at Palms West and at Lakeside, is collaborating more. We have a family practice, or we have a pediatric residency program at Palms West. We have a family practice residency program at Lakeside, and collaborating between the two institutions, and possibly we discuss an actual outreach clinic for Palms West's pediatrics residency clinic. So there are things like that we're discussing. We've been here a few months. We are definitely seeing that there is a need, definitely for pediatrics and other specialties, and we're trying to find a way to collaborate with as many of the other hospitals who have, some of them, an abundance of specialists, and see if we can have them come over and help us out. And one of the big things about our group is, since we are medical directors or assistant directors at other facilities, we already have relationships with a lot of those doctors. I've had 2 surgeons from Palms West interview last week that said, "Oh, I've never been out here before. I never would have thought to come out here." So we're starting to do that now and look to the future, collaborate.
Is any of this information being shared directly with the staff or the doctors or the?
Yes.
Yes, on a daily basis.
One of my questions is for Pahokee area, the city of Pahokee. I know we're 10 miles from Belglade, and we certainly believe in the concept of regionalization because it's more economic, feasible. But are there any conversation about a possible 24 hours urgent care facility here in Pahokee due to emergencies or major illness that would help bring care to a residence in emergency?
I mean, that's an excellent question, because no, we haven't. Honestly, we have not actually had that conversation. I would love to take a look at numbers once these guys are there to understand what kind of volume, and we track where the zip code is, so we could pull data to see what could have been kept in Pahokee and see if that makes sense. I mean, you know, absolutely interesting idea. You know, that's why we're here too, to take your information back as well. So, thanks for asking that.
So the two gentlemen with you do they make up the new group?
They're just the tip of the iceberg for the group, but you guys.
And the reason why I'm asking, because it has been stated that the old group didn't have possibly but one lawsuit over their heads looming, but there have been several lawsuits that the Lakeside Hospital is currently facing. Is that true, or is that a fallacy?
I don't know anything. Our group hasn't been sued once, if you're asking me that.
Okay, and I guess
I want you to have no idea what they're.
And I hope you understand our genuine concern is not to catch you with your pants down. Our concern as gatekeepers for this city and also for our neighboring communities is to ensure that we're not just sold some dream. Because there's still some individuals in Pahokee that miss Everglades. I was a baby born in that hospital and boast about it being one of the best hospitals in our community. And I just hope we're not sold the dream, you know, and not trying to mince my words, but our communities really just don't have the faith in the delivery of services that Lakeside has. And jokingly, you have people jokingly in jest but serious say, you know, hey, I'd rather die, you know, going to Cleveland Clinic or going to Palm Beach Gardens or Palm West or Wellington before wasting time going to Lakeside and even going to the hospital to be Lakeside Graveside. And so our genuine concern is we want to have, you know, quality services, the same services that when you drive east of the Green Bridge,
exactly.
that we have right here in our community, and just hope we're not being, you know, shoved, you know, pretty presentation that's pinned to PowerPoint, but actually is from thin paper to thick action, and that our people are exposed to quality medical care.
I should start by saying amen, because you just talked about my philosophy there. So let me, I don't go into my own background a whole lot because I don't want it to sound like I'm being self-serving, but just so you understand, I'll say a little bit about my own resume. I graduated top of my class, actually #1 in my class in medical school. So I was chief resident. I scored one of the highest grades in the entire nation on the national board exam. Board certified in 2 specialties, both emergency medicine and the field of EMS. There are only 600 doctors in the country that can say they're board certified in that subspecialty. I've been a medical director, or assistant medical director, and a leader in multiple different organizations. I've taken Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, our out-of-hospital cardiac arrest survival rates to one of the highest in the country, starting from relatively low. Every agency in EMS that I've worked with has seen a similar doubling or tripling or quadrupling of their cardiac arrest survival rates using the methods that I teach my paramedics. We've seen our stroke survival rates go up. We've seen the treatment for strokes go down, also with all the pre-hospital interventions that I've done. I speak on a national level and considered a national expert in out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, stroke systems of care, ketamine in pre-hospital environment, and a dozen other different topics which I won't bother listing. So I would say that if I were an outside observer, I would call myself as one of the elite physicians in the field of emergency medicine. And I'd say that my accomplishments are no better than any of the other doctors that we just brought here to Lakeside. They all have similar resumes. So when I say that I was bringing you an elite group of emergency physicians, that was no jest, that was no exaggeration, that is our goal. And when I started this off by saying that I have a personal philosophy that we are all the patient, I am absolutely 100% believing of that, and I put patients first in every single thing I do, and it's caused me a whole lot of political headaches, I'll tell you, by doing that, because I do not fold to business pressure, political pressure, or anything else. I absolutely believe in the Hippocratic Oath and that this is a calling, not a profession, and that we are here to serve our fellow man. And I do believe that the physicians that we have brought here at Lakeside believe in the exact same philosophy, and that this community will see, we have heard you. We weren't here when you were all having these problems that we've heard about in this community, but we're certainly here to call for help, and we've arrived to help. This is not an overnight transformation like Dr. Padron was talking about. This is a process, it's an evolution, but we know how to fix these things. At the hospitals that I've worked at and that I was leadership, we've taken those hospitals from some of the least efficient emergency departments in the country to some of the most efficient emergency departments in the country. So we know how to do all this stuff. But these are not overnight transformations. These are things that take some time, and we've already seen lots of incremental improvements. One of the problems we have out here is frankly, lack of medical expertise, both what we had in the emergency department, not that, like Dr. Padron mentioned, they're a great group of docs, but they were not board certified emergency physicians. They were family practice doctors working in an emergency department, meaning they weren't really working within their field of expertise. That's not really what family practice is supposed to do. If you have a life-threatening emergency, you want to see the subspecialty that treats life-threatening emergency, which is my specialty. And that's what we brought to the emergency department. In the process, we recognize that there's a need for subspecialty care that we don't possess in the emergency department. Some of the subspecialties that you mentioned, that the city manager mentioned, pediatricians, urology, gastroenterology, et cetera. There's a number of them. And we recognize that need, and one of the things we wanted to get across is that we hear you, we see the problems just like you see the problems, and we're committed to fixing it to the best of our ability.
What effort is Lakeside doing to even restore the trust of local doctors sending their patients to the hospital?
That's got Dr. Padron written all over it.
So I'm going to start off by kind of combining these two perspectives from Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill. Your question of why couldn't we do it with those doctors? And your energy of Graveside, that's why we couldn't do it with those doctors, because it was Graveside. We needed new doctors. We needed new energy. We need to open up the windows, let the air out, clear out everything that's been going on in there, and rotate some people around. Take them out of a position where maybe they weren't doing the best they could do and put them somewhere else where they'll be better equipped. Move things around. Bring in fresh energy, doctors, staff, a helicopter we're going to be placing there. But going back to the original question of what are we doing in the community? One of the first things that I did was go meet with Dr. Harlan, Marty Harlan, who has a large practice there, who I sit on Med Exec with at Palms West. And he sat down with me at Med Exec and he goes, Danny, I really appreciate what you're doing down there, but please don't ever leave Palms West because you're doing so well here. But if you do, you come by my office. So I went by his office and I said, look, I'm here full time. I'm the new chief medical officer. I want you to join us and help us with our family practice residency program and help teach these young residents how to be a great doctor like yourself and help treat the rural area. So he is. He's coming on board with us.
That's my grandmother's doctor.
He's coming on board with us. And I said, Marty, I need you to help me make this transformation out here. Because if you can help me do it, I think everyone else will believe it's happening. So he's on board. We're bringing in other doctors. I'm going to be meeting with some of the pediatricians in the area as well and try to reconnect, because I understand that there's been prior administrations within the healthcare district and maybe things weren't handled the best way possible. So we're trying to bring a human approach to this. Like I said before, growing up, I grew up very similar to how it looks out here down in Homestead and Perrine and Richmond Heights, so I have a little bit of affinity to this. And I look forward to doing more in the community. We talked about a large RV that's painted and says healthcare district on the side. It has 2 clinics inside of it. I have 2 ER docs that are subspecialty trained in sports medicine. And we're looking forward to going to the football games and being there and having a presence and going to the other games and the other sports. I myself, I was a collegiate athlete and went to college on a wrestling scholarship. And I played football. So I have an affinity towards that as well, as do my other docs. So that's another way we're looking to get back into the community and make those relationships and be a part of the community and not just a visitor who comes in, punches a clock, and leaves, but actually be a part of the network here. And anything else you guys can give us that we can do better? I love the idea of putting an urgent care or a freestanding facility out here to help out. So those are all great ideas that we can discuss.
We'd like to have that in Pahokee first.
What about, you know, we getting these, Mayor, if I'm in order, we're getting what I'm assuming to be quality.
Yes.
What plan do you have in place for retention? Because one of the things we have,
It's a great question.
we have good to come in and
Yes.
and is in for a year or two and then they pull out. So what are we doing to, what plan do you all have in place for retention so that we can help cure this exodus?
You know, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. I'm actually one of the co-founders of the Florida Academy of Emergency Medicine, which is basically a subchapter of the American Academy of Emergency Medicine. One of the things that's our national subspecialty organization preaches is about putting the business of patient care into the doctor's hands rather than these large Wall Street companies that staff emergency departments. So most people don't understand the business of emergency medicine. The way it works, most hospitals you visit, those doctors are basically employees of gigantic mega corporations that are traded on Wall Street. And those doctors basically have the employee mentality, which is punch the clock in the morning, punch the clock in the afternoon, and then try to do as little between those two time periods as possible. As opposed to what I talk about, now obviously that's some stereotyping, there's plenty of good work ethic in these doctors as well. But imagine a different scenario, and if those of you that are old like I am, remember the Dunkin' Donuts commercials, and the guy's getting up at, oh dark 100, time to make the donuts. That's the small businessman mentality, like some of the folks that got the awards here tonight. Those people put in the extra effort. They're invested in this. They have personal gain to make this a great practice, for the patients to be happy, to be busier, and aligns their goals with the hospital perfectly. That's what we brought to Lakeside. Every single one of those doctors is an owner in the patient care process. They're not employees. They're all equal to us. We're all equal footing. There's no boss, I tell you how to do it. These are all elite group of physicians, and they all have ownership in their own practice, which gives them that time to make the donuts mentality, which is, by the way, in emergency medicine considered the holy grail. This is a very rare business situation in Florida. So once we set this up, we had very little recruiting to do. We had people knocking on the door saying, hey, we want to do that with you. So it's the business model that creates an incentive, and I don't think we'll have any issue with the retention.
Don't mind, I'll add on to it. Do you have to?
Go ahead, I think we got one more.
So just
minute.
really quickly, to put in perspective, just as Dr. Harlan has his own practice, the ER is now its own practice. We don't answer to a governing body, and each one of the doctors in there is an invested partner. All the docs are partners. And you can't find that in too many ERs. So like Dr. Shepke said, they were knocking on the door, and we were able to pick and choose. They had to meet a qualification of what makes you elite. Some of the docs are sports medicine fellowship trained. Others were medical directors at big hospitals that jumped ship to come here because this, as Dr. Shepke says, the holy grail, the opportunity to have your own shop, to do your own thing, to make your own benchmarks. And then we don't have to, yeah, we don't have to coach each other. Everybody on the team's a coach. Everyone's a star athlete. Everyone's going to go out there and push themselves. So retention, that was the number one thing we said we had to come up with. And that's what we did. We gave it to the team. We said, all right, it's your team. Everybody is an equal partner, equal owner, equal say. So, and that's the secret sauce.
Okay, we certainly thank Lakeside for that update. No, we can't get all our questions answered in one session, but we're certainly, if we find continued rumors, we want to come back and invite you all back at another time to kind of give us further updates. But again, we thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question, sir.
Can we answer them?
Yes, we can have a quick question, sir.
I acknowledge that here haven't gotten better. I've been there the past 2 months or so. But also, let's get the basics. The hospital is not clean enough. It's not clean enough, point blank. Even to the point, we had to rush my brother to the hospital 2 weeks ago. I'd like to know what policy you have in place as for keeping the hospital clean. When one person leave out a room in the emergency room, do someone go in and clean it? Because my wife and I both receive a bug by being in the emergency room only hours with my brother. And we both know where we got it from.
All right. So there are processes in place to turn over the room where the custodial staff will come in, bleach everything down, clean everything appropriately. There is a process in place. Does it happen where from time to time things get hectic and it's not 100% done well? Of course. I'm sorry that happened to you and your wife. It's something we'll definitely go back, and Stephanie's aware of it, our hospital administrator, and we'll look into it. This was in the emergency department, you said, correct? Yes. Definitely. We'll look into it. Room 9 especially. Look into it. Any other questions for us?
Do you have the means to do CAT scans?
Yes.
Dye?
Yes, yes.
Dye.
With IV contrast, yes. And soon we'll have one of the best, or not the best, CAT scanner in Palm Beach County. The 128 slice is the most powerful one once it's installed in the entire county. Better than Palms West, better than JFK, better than St. Mary's, better than Boca, all of them. They haven't bought that one yet, so we're going to be the first to have it.
Better than the VA?
But definitely better than the VA.
And will we ever be a full-fledged hospital?
What do you mean by full-fledged?
Full-time.
Where you can pretty much go, you have to go maybe all the way to 40.
A full complement of specialists you're referring to? Yeah, that's my dream, the evolution to be. For me, I told everyone that I would love to be the catchment for the Glades, where Hendry's sending their patients to me, Rollerson, everyone's sending it, not sending it out to the East Coast. So that's definitely what we would like to evolve into, and it begins by bringing all the players in, all the subspecialists, so we can cover everything and not have to send things out.
Is that a priority goal, a genuine goal to move the hospital into that direction?
Yes. Yes. Like I said, for me, I've got appointments with 2 GI doctors. I interviewed 2 surgeons last week. And you need the players before you can, build the foundation to get everything into place. So we're definitely doing that. And that's why, like we've been saying, it's not we're divesting, we're investing. And we're bringing in more people. So, but we're going to have to clean house a little bit, or let the air in and air it out.
Again, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move right along with our agenda. We're moving to the mayor's report, which will be very, very brief. And I want people walking out today. I took a glimpse into the future today. I met with our teen youth campers from the Parks and Recreation Department. It was a great experience for me. I met with 3 groups. These kids are really energetic, well-behaved, learning a lot during this, I believe, 8-week camp
Yes.
that they are undertaking. So just want to thank our city staff for the work they're doing, working with our young kids. And last, I just like to express my condolence to Commissioner Walker. Recently, we all know that her and her mom, resident that they was living in, had a house fire there, so they are temporarily displaced from that. And then just recently, she lost her son. So on behalf of this entire commission, we'd just like to express our condolence to Commissioner Walker. I'm surprised she's here today, but sometimes keeping your mind occupied is a good thing too. So that's going to be the end of my report. We'll move into the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Thanks, residents, for joining us tonight. I have a very brief report. City Commission, I did give you the dates for our budget workshops. Also, typically this time of year, we take a two-week break from commission meetings. I don't have those dates prepared tonight. I may just send those out, for consideration for the next meeting. Next meeting is the 10th of July, and that was going to be one of those commission meetings that we were not going to be here to take summer vacation. It's only a week, so that would give us a total of 3.5, 4 weeks before the next commission meeting, end of July. If you wanted to take a summer break, this is the time to do it because we get heavily into our budget workshops after that. We also have Florida League of Cities travel as well, and then we come back and finish up our budget. So that's just an option if you want to do that. It's just an option if you want to do that.
And while you're on that point, I kind of wanted to put out there maybe a substitute for that summer break would be, I think it's in August, where there's an election. I hate to have our city commission meeting compete with people who want to vote. And again, it's a 12-hour
So you wanna
period
wait till
where it's
August?
7 to 7, but a lot of people get off and they're pressing to get to the polls, and
Okay.
that's a
Right.
major primary.
Well, we can
So-
save it to August because I know we might have one or two more contracts that we gotta, work out here on some of our funding. So, I was fine with that. I just wanted to put that out there. So we can save it to August. I have no additional news on the gymnasium. As you know, we're working with the county to identify some additional funds for that project. All the other projects that we have under contract now are moving along well. We still are waiting for the initial shovel in the ground for Glade Citizens Village Villa. We anticipate that over the next couple of days here. They'll start mobilizing. And we're going to be doing some additional lighting upgrades on the outside of this building. The mayor brought that to my attention the last commission meeting. It was really dark when we left here. I think he stumbled coming out of this building. So part of the LED program is to provide better lighting here at Parks and Recreation. And as we do additional upgrades, we need that security lighting here. And budget workshops I mentioned. That's really about it. We're in our lean months fiscally for the city of Pahokee. Mr. Hartley didn't explain it in detail, but typically from June until August, we have what I consider, the city manager's spending freeze on a lot of items that are not priority to be purchased at this time. So, and we do about 60 to 90 days of that practice yearly to kind of shave back on these lean months that occur at the end of the revenue cycle for our revenue checks that come in. So that's it, Mayor and Commission. Please notate those dates on your calendar for budget meetings. And we have Palm Beach League City meeting tomorrow at 11:30 in Wellington. That's for all elected officials. And of course, we have Florida League of Cities coming up in August, so please prepare your calendars for that. That's
Thank
all
you.
of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Now we have the City Attorney report, which will include tonight an update on the ordinance dealing with yard selling and vendors selling on the outside.
Mr. Mayor, as you can see, I produced a memo on this topic back on May 23rd, and it wasn't on your agenda for your last meeting because I was out of town, but it generally just goes over the requirements of garage sales and stationary peddlers. An issue came up about how does this apply to churches? Well, it applies the same way to churches as garage sales and stationary peddlers do. Churches are allowed in both residential and commercial categories. So if your church is in a residential category, you can have a garage sale. If your church is in a commercial category, well, then you can consider allowing stationary peddlers on the property. Other than that, I have nothing else to add to it.
Okay. That concludes your
That concludes my report.
All right. We don't have any old business. On the new business, we have the Palm Beach County Sheriff Office report. Lieutenant Piccolo.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move to citizen comments, general concern. City Clerk, do we have any comments cards?
Yes, sir. One comment card, Miss Annie Core.
Good evening, everyone. Commissioners and
Name and address. State your name and address.
the commissioners and the attorney and everyone. My name is Annie Core, and I live at 8832 Eldorado Drive, Pahokee, Florida. Anyway, my concerns are about, I was wanting to know what is the homeowner's right? On that you just said about the church, the vendor, this, that, and the other. I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm a homeowner. I own my own house. I pay my tax. I have my own insurance. So I'm trying to figure out, they were saying no garage sale. I don't sell nothing in my house, no way, but I'm just back on it. You said no garage sale at home, at your home. So I'm trying to understand, or did I misunderstood what was said?
Yeah, you can have a garage sale at your home, ma'am.
But I guess I misunderstood what you said, because I was trying to understand it. That's why I came out tonight, because I wanted to get some clarification on it, and I thank you. That's what I wanted to
You're
ask
quite
you.
welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, having no additional comments, cards, we'll move into the correspondence, comments, concerns of the city commissioners. And we'll start with Commissioner Hill.
Oh, no comment.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Walker. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Everett.
Surprisingly, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any additional comments. But legal, I want to put it out there, you know, we didn't have any break-in in Florida sunshine that me and Commissioner Mervin came dressed alike. We didn't even talk today. But surprisingly, I don't
Very
I don't
suspicious.
Have any. I thought I'd just put it out there parenthetically, but I don't have any comments today.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Mervin.
No comments, Mayor.
Wow, y'all must have been talking. Meeting adjourned.
That's not true.